When it comes to your guests, though, that you're interviewing for DragonCon TV, I'm curious about a couple of things. And one of them is, how do you make them more comfortable?
Yeah, that is tough because I have two different formats I work with DragonCon TV, and they're both now live. I used to do a lot of on-camera interviews, like 5 or 6 minute segments for DVDs. Like I used to burn DVDs and sell them as part of the convention. We don't do that anymore. But like a lot of like YouTube stuff, 2-3 minutes, teaser interview segment, like news segment kind of stuff. And then I'm doing on-stage interviews, either a segment as part of our morning show, which we call the late show, because if you're up at 9 a.m. at DragonCon, you stayed up late from the night before. I'm the only idiot who gets up that early, plus my co-host and my guests. Or I'm on stage with a panel type scenario for a full hour. So it's me and Marina Baccarin. It's me and the bridge crew of Strange New Worlds. It's me and, fill in the blank. And actors are not always outgoing people. Some actors are actually introverts, and they some of those folks really love the panel environment. They feed off of it, and then they will go back in their little cocoon at the end of the hour.
Yeah.
And it takes a moment to bring them out. So part of that is I rarely dive straight into questions with the audience because it's a little intimidating if they haven't done a con before. Because if they're a famous guest, like the Gina Torres came to DragonCon, she was one of the first people I did a live stage panel with in 2018. And she kind of peeked out from behind the curtain and was like, that room's full. And I'm like, yeah, that's 2,200 people. Like, they're here to see me. I'm like, you were in Firefly. Like, what? You're Jessica Pearson. Like, of course people are here to see you. And so what I'll typically do is, one, I warm up the audience a little bit. I give them the spiel on how this should run. I have a format, one question, no multi-part questions. It's a Q&A, not a C&A. We're not doing comments. You don't have to tell them you love them because you stood in the line and the humidity and the occasional thunderstorms at DragonCon in September. We all know this. Are you ready to go? Yay, big cheer. That builds the room energy up a little bit. I normally write an intro for the guests. So they've got something to come out on stage. They are actors after all. There's a little bit of like, okay, yeah, I have my moment. Like Wallace Day, who was in second season of Batwoman. I gave her an option, like, do you want to come up side stage or you want to come backstage? She's like, I am an actor. I want an entrance. And I'm like, there we go. So you're coming up the big ramp off the back of the stage.
Okay, then.
Like, we're doing this. And then there's always a warm-up kind of backstage. I normally have very little interaction with these guests before the panel. Like, we're going through agents and that sort of thing. I sometimes will meet a guest 1 minute before they go up. So, and sometimes I get to work with the same guest over and over, like Crew of the Expanse, Strange New Worlds. I've gotten to work with them multiple times, which is great because there's a little bit of a rapport. They don't remember it all year round, but they come back and go, oh, yeah, it's you. We did our first panel together like 3 years ago. I'm like, yeah, thanks for coming back. And then it's anything you want to talk about, like you absolutely have to do it. Of course, we're plugging your podcast. Sure, let's do that because everybody has a podcast now. He says on your podcast. Is there anything we shouldn't talk about? Should I deflect from the audience? And that's your safety zone, question. Right? Yeah. Now you understand that I'm not just going to feed you to the wolves, because fandom is great, but fandom is also sometimes fandom. You've been on the internet. We know what we're talking about. So it's do I coach the people in the audience with the microphones to like stay away from this stuff because they'll screen questions? Because that gives me the option of I can be the jerk. Like, I will be the a-hole so they don't have to be, right? So as part of the conduit to the audience, I can be a valve. I can cut them off. I can redirect. I can go, we're not talking about that. And
who has the power to the microphone?
Yeah. So I'm setting up kind of a space for them so that they get to be as authentic as they want to be, but we're not going to talk about someone's divorce on stage. We're not going to talk about someone's court case, right? We're not going there. This isn't TMZ. So in those cases, now I try to build up as quick a rapport as I can with these people who I am now responsible for the next hour on stage. It's not like we're live broadcasting this to the world or anything, except we totally are.